Don't you think it would be extremely helpful upon our worldly arrival for each of us to get a coffee mug, a t-shirt, ball cap, or something that says on it, "Note to self, buckle up, Buttercup. You're in for the wildest ride. It's your life." Just a little heads up as we begin to live out our personal life experience, because if y'all are like me, your crystal ball is broken. And I got to thinking the commonality that each of us share is that we were gifted this life that we had no clue we'd be receiving, much less living, further equating us with the fact that we begin to live it completely unaware. There's no t-shirt, there's no coffee mug, there's no personal instruction manual or hints of what life has in store for us, and there's no timeline. And basically, we can look at that as the epitome of pure freedom, setting us up with one option to figure out our life living strategy on the fly. And also, it's zero advice on how to live that life, that hand of cards that we've been dealt, right? So all we can do is play each hand we've been dealt one card at a time for that unknown length of time. And so as I began to look at that, and it shows that we have to face the different hands we're dealt. And as I was looking at my life, I identified that adversity has woven its way through my life beginning at a pretty early age. And as I began to look deeper at adversity, these rhetorical questions came into mind. How soon in a person's life should they experience adversity? How late? Or should it just get sprinkled all the way through? How much adversity does it take to suck all the positivity out of your soul? Is there an adversity quota? Is adversity our adversary or our ally? Well, as I was indicating, adversity began to weave its way into my life at a pretty early age. As early as 2 years old, y'all. Somehow, I managed to sleep my way out of this humongous bed, end up on the floor with a broken collarbone. At 2.5, I had corrective eye surgery on both eyes. At 4, my parents were separated. At 6, I was swinging on that little trapeze thing on the back, what do you call that thing, the swing set out there? Swung myself right off it, landed on the ground, breaking that collarbone for a second time. But it was in 1981, when I was 11 years old, when life dealt me a heavy hand of adversity. And it was a heavy hand of adversity. My parents were in the middle of divorcing. Bless you. On that Thanksgiving day, my uncle's horse, Vandy Sue, bucked me off her back, the impact with the ground breaking my right arm. Bless you. She's allergic to you, Laura. Y'all need to separate her. But the week before Christmas of that same year, my father was killed by a drunk driver. And if what they say is true, that bad things happen in threes, that latter of the first two topped off an epic trifecta. It's a lot of tough stuff happening in 1 year, all in 1 year unfolding, as my life was still just getting started. And had I been seated at a poker table playing cards, I'd have turned those 3 cards back into the dealer, exercising my option to exchange them for the chance of improving my hand. And chances are good, y'all might be sitting here today with adversities or cards that have been dealt to you that you'd like to, they might be present or past, that you'd like to swap out to. The hard truth we all know is that life doesn't work that way. And the emotional strain of processing my parents divorcing was actually a sequel to their separation when I was 4 years old. And the divorce proceedings were in motion, past emotions were resurfacing, and I remember sitting in my father's lap several evenings, both of us just sobbing. And that day when Vandy Sue threw me off her back, I was crying in physical pain. But I was so pissed off that I jumped up, ran over to her, and punched her in the muzzle with the fist on my good arm. It's like, are you kidding me? Ruined my turkey day. Hell. Anyway, but what made that life experience even crazier is that I had been granted a glimpse of what life was going to be bringing my way months earlier through the most vivid dream, making that ride to the hospital a relived experience. But that foreshadowing dream was lacking just enough details that I couldn't prepare myself for living through that life experience, or better yet, avoiding it altogether. Merely a few weeks later, I found myself lacking that preparation again with the horrific shock of my father being killed. My grief, so immense, I thought I would never stop crying. And my anger at God at a level words can't even begin to describe. But regardless of my anger and my efforts to just shut God out, he just leaned in, y'all, and held me and my mother tighter. And he brought us two unique forms of consolation through an unanticipated visit and an unprecedented victory. The 17-year-old young man who caused the fatal car wreck, accompanied by his church pastor, asked to come visit my mother and I to apologize. And while I don't remember what he said during that conversation, I remember saying to my mom right after they left, I was like, he was cute. You know, I mean, I guess my young mind was just thinking only a monster could have killed my father. And perhaps his courageous visit to come apologize to us is why I never felt any bitterness towards him. The unprecedented victory happened months later. My great uncle and cousin, who are both practicing lawyers, encouraged my mom to seek justice for the negligence that resulted in my father being killed. And that legal case, y'all, went all the way to the Supreme Court. And it resulted in creating a brand new law that continues through to this present day to help the surviving family members whose loved ones have either been severely injured or killed by a drunk driver. And that was a silver lining of sorts that proved God can bring positive outcomes to the most negative of situations. And in a sense, it was a familiar parallel in that one was sacrificed to bring help and hope to many. It's easy to think that those were more than enough adversities for me to endure and live through for my entire life, that I'd reached my personal quota. But as my life continued to move forward, adversity kept finding me, daring me to battle, testing my faith, attempting to steal my sense of humor, and doing its darndest to diminish my level of positivity. 6 years after my father's death, my cousin Laura, who was more like my big sister, was tragically killed her freshman year in college. It was a college town game of driving in complete darkness down a winding road gone way wrong. She was standing up in this off-road vehicle holding onto the roll bar, and it flipped. And she was gone way too soon at 19 years old. Embarking on my brand new career, having just graduated from Clemson University, go Tigers, yep, with this fresh, brand new start, yeah? 6 months into it, y'all, I got fired. Oh, ouch, right? About the same time frame, my boyfriend at the time, who had filled my head with visions of marriage, suddenly changed his mind. Can you even imagine, Brian? The nerve. Well, that was a heart-wrenching breakup. After completing my master's at Pratt Institute, I took an amazing trip to India. It was a celebratory trip. I had an amazing time. So awesome. I was at the Taj Mahal on 7/7/2007, okay? And they were revisiting who figures out the 7 wonders of the world. They were voting on it again. Well, it made it, so, just let you know. But amazing celebratory trip. But a couple weeks after I got home, I became deathly ill, was hospitalized for 15 days, and spent the next 2 years building back my stamina and my prior fitness level. At age 47, my national accounts role was eliminated, abruptly ending my 22-and-a-half-year tenure with the corporation, ultimately marking my exit from corporate America. Can y'all say adversity? And some of my things, but we need to tame the wild ones. And then we're going to have this one, adversity, and we'll go from there. But can y'all say adversity? Yeah, adversity. Damn it. Sitting here, not that I'm trying to bring up past adversities, but when you're looking at your own list of personal adversities, you might take note that they vary in the degree of challenge and the level of intensity. But have you ever looked at them collectively and really recognized or cited the changes they brought to you personally and to your life's trajectory? Well, buckle up as I take this collective perspective and present to you how this hand of adversity that was played or dealt to me, how it played out, and what my personal adversity cards revealed to me. Adversity is synonymous with challenge. And if you're wired like me, you are up for a solid, good challenge. As I look around the room here, I know these three right here, because we've gone through contest prep together, and I've witnessed you go through yours, up for a good challenge. Crystal, I challenge you know what, every week at FGP, so I know you're up for the challenge. Tisha, Odessa, and all my shred people, Laura, Anna, Mary, Barna, Mandy. I was like, wait, there's another one. Don't let me forget Mandy. These people are hardcore people because I'm opening the place at 4:30 in the morning, okay? And I teach it at 5, and then we got people come at 6. They're hardcore. They're ready for a challenge. But if you are like me, when it comes to challenges, I just prefer to be the instigator of what I call uncomfort zone style challenges. And I'm sure you've seen it online, but I'm a firm believer you got to get outside your comfort zone to truly experience true personal growth and development. So a few months before I was due to graduate from Clemson University, I set up one of those style challenges for myself. And here's why. I caught my profile. Let me look at here. I caught my profile in the mirror one day. I was like, whoa. I was like, girlfriend, you need to do something to drop those freshmen 15 that have done stuck and hung on to your butt. Do something to get lean so you can get a job. I mean, I was a couple months away from graduating. I was like, oh, no. So I found a local business that I thought would help me achieve this goal. And it's been around a minute, so y'all probably heard of it. Jazzercise. Yes! So let me tell you, and she used to instruct it. Come on, Michelle, get up here. No, I told you I wouldn't do that to you. I'll put some more music on, you can do that later. Have a couple more glasses of wine. So jazzercise, y'all. So, up until that point in my life, the only thing I knew about exercising was organized team sports, all through grade school, all through high school, and I was currently playing on Clemson's women's club soccer team. But the thing about organized team sports is you go practice with your team, and then you go play the game with the goal of winning, not losing anything, especially not weight, whatever. So anyway, I was consistently going to these newly found aerobics classes, and I wasn't seeing the desired results, right? So I made an appointment with the franchise owner and lead instructor, Verna, to get her advice on, how to accomplish this goal before strolling across that graduation stage. And Verna took me up under her wing. She gave me specific steps to follow. And y'all, not only did I drop those 15 lbs, I landed my dream job opportunity before graduating. I didn't know it at the time, but fitness had found me. Nor did I realize to the extent of which Verna's generosity with her time and her knowledge had really instilled within me a desire to pay it forward one day. Well, making the big move from my hometown of Hotlanta, Georgia, to the dot on the map of Clinton, South Kakalaka. It's right between here and Columbia. You might have passed by. There's a Waffle House on either side of the exit. Good to know. Coming or going, you can hit it. Covered, smothered, all that good stuff. Smothered, covered in something, Anyway, so made that big move to this little town, and it proved to be a major broken crystal ball moment. I mean, little did I know I was going to be forging forward on the fitness front, only to be forced into restarting the brand new career I just started. Y'all, I found this awesome apartment, happened to be catty corner across the street from the local Clinton YMCA. Perfect scenario for keeping my newly found passion for fitness up. And if I wasn't working my dream job, that's where you'd find me, doing any and all of the fitness classes. But, let's be real. This less than metropolis-sized town didn't really offer this girl a lot of other options for my spare time spent. So anyway, that's where I was. A couple months in that routine, the aerobics director, Ivy, stopped me after class one day. She's like, look, girlfriend, you just need to go ahead and get your group fitness instructor certification. You got the aptitude, you're here all the time, you might as well do it. So I took her up on her advice, and I enrolled and completed in the highly accredited program offered by the American Council on Exercise. Ivy became my next fitness mentor, and before I knew it, I was flying solo as the latest fitness instructor at the Y. It was amazing. Just like that, I started a tandem career in the fitness industry. But more importantly, I had found the way to take the time and the generosity of time and knowledge from my fitness mentors and begin to pay it forward. It blows my mind that by simply setting a goal to lean out in order to land a job, the small town circumstances of that job, the next fitness mentor, all those details could come together to create such a positive life trajectory shift, taking me into that tandem career in fitness. And this next statement I'm going to make blows my mind too. 2023 marked my 30th year instructing and studying health and fitness. And I'm only 33. How did that happen? Prodigy child up here. Oh my gosh. So anyway, somewhere along those 30 years, I've read in my studies that every 7th year, our body's biochemistry changes. The day after celebrating my 37th birthday, which is just a couple of Julys ago, my body began to experience crazy chills, deep body aches, high soaring fever, among some other really unpleasant set of circumstances and symptoms that were really unpleasant, and they all were starting to support this 7th year biochemistry shift theory. And when I got to the point, and I got a high tolerance for pain, but when I got to the point that I could no longer take the intensity of the abdominal pains that I was going through, I took my neighbor up on her offer to call an ambulance. And I just went upstairs, took all this bling off, well, I didn't have the bling at the time, and put my pajamas on and waited for the EMTs to come pick me up. Upon arriving at the ER, they informed me that I was in kidney failure. They would be admitting me into my own private room, how sweet, and that I should expect a lot of hospital staff coming to check on my situation, shall we say. And they weren't kidding. We're talking interns all the way up to the infectious disease specialist who just so happened to be the hospital administrator. They all paid me a visit. I was like an episode of House. Y'all remember that show? And I tried to get them to cut a deal with ABC, and they had to call it Sutter syndrome, but it never worked out. But anyway, so I ended up in the hospital for 15 days, undergoing every single test imaginable. And in addition to that level of attention and care from all of those staff members, I was receiving calls from a doctor I just met a couple weeks earlier when I was vacationing in India to give me specific testing recommendations to tell these hospital staff people to run along with what they were doing as a hopes of figuring out what was going on. And after that whole stay, they got me stabilized, but they never formally diagnosed me, which is a little disconcerting. They just gave me a pat on the back, was like, good luck. So when I look back at living through that experience, what surprises me is that during that ambulance ride, during that whole stay in the hospital and undergoing all those tests, I never felt scared. Now, don't get me wrong, I was deeply concerned for my personal well-being, but I never panicked. I surrendered myself to the fact that this never before experienced adversity was completely outside of my control. I had to seek medical help in order to start to reverse the symptoms and move toward the path of healing, however it played out. And even though I surrendered myself to those circumstances, I never sacrificed myself. I kept bringing my authentic personality and my positive spirit to each day and just trusting in God's plan for my healing. And that positive approach allowed me to still experience, even in the midst of circumstances that totally sucked, to still experience happiness and laughter with the hospital staff, and to create some of the most hilarious memories with my mother, who shared that corner hospital room with me for the majority of those 15 days. Well, once I got released from the hospital, it was the long road to recovery that started. And that timing proved to be yet another perfect opportunity for me to set myself up with an uncomfort zone style challenge, right? So my thought was this: I wanted to select an event for which to train, and upon attaining it, then celebrate it as my stronger comeback. And I set my sights on running the New York City Marathon. Oh yes! Now let's remember here, this was a comeback story. I wasn't trying to go win it. There was no way I could qualify to run it. So they had a lottery process. So you could throw your name in the hat. So I threw my name in the hat, started running with my running crew at the crack of 0:30, got to where I was running 16 and a half miles straight, only to be informed that we're so sorry, but we did not select you, and you will not be participating in this year's marathon. So I had to change gears. No big deal, not meant to be. So I was like, okay, well, what can we do? So I picked a sport that I had appreciated for years and years, and it's known for the artistry of showcasing chiseled physiques, competitive bodybuilding. Yeah. So now I had fitness experience, but that's a whole different can of worms. I had no idea what it took to manipulate your body, to reveal the muscle you had, to then get on a stage and, be critiqued. So I started asking for recommendations for coaches. I found this amazing husband and wife coaching duo, and we interviewed, went through their process of signing up for their team, and I got so excited about this brand new journey, and in typical fashion started talking it up amongst my family and friends. And I was talking it up because I was excited, but it was also a way for me to verbalize what I was visualizing and further solidify my commitment to that goal. Because, once you get the word out on the street, you got to start putting the action behind the words to deliver. And while my family and friends may have been questioning this choice of Quest as a potential midlife crisis of sorts, they were super supportive. And just 13 weeks of training later, I delivered a stronger version of myself, and it was amazing to step out on that stage all tanned up and oiled up and sporting 4 tiny little triangles of bring out fabric. Oh, amazing. All right, so that was the aesthetic transformation. But y'all, the transformation went way deeper. I was stronger mentally, physically, and spiritually. And it was really cool to take home some hardware in the form of trophies, But it was even more exciting when I did my next bodybuilding competition. Oh yes, I decided I was not going to be one and done. So a couple weeks later, went to a different event, hit the stage, and my lightweight competitor self took out the heavyweight to score my first overall win. Yes! Y'all, I had caught a fever higher and hotter than anything from India can induce, all fired up for competitive bodybuilding. Well, next step discussions with my coaches quickly revealed to me, y'all relate to this, that they are firm believers there is no off season. Now, there's a little gap on the calendar during the holidays where there's no competition scheduled, okay? But outside of that, athletes and their trainers are working hard toward that next targeted competition stage. And it's a process, let me tell you right now. So we're working towards that competition stage, and I'm having a little brain fart right now, but it's okay, we're gonna get through it. So went through that process, and there's no doubt that, it took me to a different level. But after that, I decided that during that seasonal gap, I wanted to create a positive visual trigger that would help me stay on point toward these newly established competition goals. So I went to my jewelry box and I found 3 different sterling silver charms, a cross that a dear friend of mine from Clemson had given me that she became a missionary, a Navajo symbol for the fire within that I bought from a tribe member during a visit to Utah, and a barbell from that first overall win victory. And I took those 3 sterling silver charms, I tied it to a black leather cord, tied it around my neck, and I called it my Mojo training necklace. And my message or mantra to myself was, you gotta have strong faith, the fire within, to build true inner strength. and I was well aware that I needed to tap into a higher power source to be able to maintain and sustain the discipline, drive, dedication, and determination to reach any goal that I set. Well, this necklace became a conversation piece in and out of the gym, and every time I would share that mantra, people were giving me the same response. You should do something with that, inferring that I should come up with a concept or a business where I could make similar necklaces or other positive visual triggers that help them reach their goal. And so I'll be the first to admit that on a rare occasion, I may be delayed on taking in information and really absorbing it, okay? Especially if that's involved. But after this specific conversation played out again and again and again, y'all, I literally looked heavenward and was like, okay, I'm gonna do something. So I started thinking about mojo and motivation and what this necklace, what it meant to me and how it was inspiring me. And really the divine inspiration I received ultimately resulted in the brand name of the business concept that I decided I was gonna do something with, MoJoTiVatioN. Yes, thank you. I will. Yes. So as the business launched, I was sourcing silver charms from a jeweler and helping people or the clients create their own personal mojo training necklace. A mental muscle willpower builder is what we're looking at here. And then a long time, I added my fitness expertise to it, personal training, fitness nutrition, mindset coaching, contest prep. And there's no doubt that adding competitive bodybuilding and this new business concept elevated that tandem fitness side of my career. But meanwhile, on the corporate America front of my life, that business was also evolving and going through different business need changes. And it gave me the unique opportunity to repeatedly justify my existence in the organization. Don't know if any of y'all ever experienced that. Could be a little stressful. But in all honesty, I didn't realize that was what I was doing or what was happening fully at the time. But as I look back and how my boss was navigating me and asking me to do my annual presentation to the upper echelon of the company, it became clear to me that that's exactly what he was doing. He was helping me justify my role. But beside these changes that were happening within the organization and those set of circumstances, for a handful of years, I had felt stagnant. I really didn't feel like I was growing professionally or personally. And that's a stronger indicator to me that it's time to make a change or start looking for something else. But what makes this adversity unique from any of the others I'd faced is that I asked God to bring it. I prayed specifically to become miraculously eligible for the max severance package. I'm going to tell you right now, after 22 and a half years, I wasn't going to stroll in and resign. Not happening. No. I also prayed that I would receive my bonus for whatever final length of time worked for the company, but here's the kicker. I prayed that I would not have to ask for either. God delivered all three, setting me free to become a full-time, fitness-focused entrepreneur that I was destined to be. Thank you, amen. Give me a hallelujah. Yes. So in 1981, there is no way I could have begun to recognize or realize that that heavy hand of adversity that was dealt to me would serve as building my personal foundation for building the resilience needed to overcome, endure, and ultimately embrace the adversities of my life. And there is no way I would have claimed adversity as my ally. Oh no, not in a chance. But actually, when I look back, regardless of the level of intensity or degree of challenge of the adversity, I realized that ultimately adversity had become my ally. Because on the other side of living through those experiences was a stronger version of me. I also gained the understanding that God didn't leave me alone when adversity showed up. No, quite the contrary. God made his presence felt and known. That young man's courageous visit to come apologize to my mother and I. Graduating from Clemson University on the anniversary of my father's death, exactly 11 years later, beyond coincidence timing, especially since that legal victory funded my education. I believe that was God's way of honoring my father's memory, and I also think it was a way, in a sense, of having him present at that milestone event. in my life. Seeing circular rainbows in the sky as I was driving on my way to a job interview, that had I not been fired from that first dream job out of Clemson, I would not have submitted a resume or had the opportunity to interview for that job that led to an amazing 22-and-a-half-year corporate career. Y'all, if I'd have married that guy that broke my heart, I'd have had 9 kids and a whole different kind of career. Just saying. Can y'all even imagine? I cannot. Without the post-India illness, I wouldn't have celebrated a stronger comeback through competitive bodybuilding. And I wouldn't have ended up training in the gym where our coaches were affiliated with my teammates, where I met the man who ultimately asked me to become his wife. He's working tonight, or he'd been here, but he gave me a good pep talk before I came out tonight. I would have missed the divine inspiration to create MoJoTiVatioN, and had my corporate career not ended, MoJoTiVatioN would not have continued to evolve and expand to the extent that it has through to today. And it's really exciting. Over the last year and a half, the latest evolution of MoJoTiVatioN has probably been the most exciting of all of them. I was, in addition to upping my speaking game and really trying to coin a new style of speaking, which I'm calling shared strength speaking. In addition to that, I was more than fortunate, blessed, to be able to build my own studio off the back of the house. I designed it as a livable space with the intention of Airbnb-ing it, which I have been doing, thankfully. But in 2023, I was inspired once again and got to thinking about how could I utilize this space to really reach my clients on a deeper level. So I've come up with the idea of offering a fully immersive training experience. It's basically a personal retreat that clients can decide to spend 3 or 5 days where they come live in this space, this wing of the house, and we learn by living through all the how-tos of a healthy lifestyle. So I'm fired up about that. Well, now at age 50 plus 3, sounds better that way to me, I am well aware that similar to competitive bodybuilding, life has no off season. And it's not a matter of if, but when adversity is going to show up. And when adversity shows up, it's up to us to determine our strategy, how we're going to play it, allow it to consume us, or empower it to strengthen us, train us, and then present to us opportunities to share those strength gains with others facing adversities that are similar or the same. Better yet, though, I've learned that we can prepare ourselves before that next hand of adversity gets dealt to us. I call it the braining. You got to have the braining along with the training of your physical and soulful self. And braining looks something like this: practicing daily mental sets and reps that build positive mindsets, because where the mind is set, the body and the soul will follow it. And one way to practice those daily mental sets and reps or build your mental willpower muscle is to develop your own positive visual trigger, similar to my Mojo training necklace that you view daily, that resonates deep meaning to you, empowering you to flow through the changes in your trajectory, to endure, overcome, and embrace your adversities, and to attain your goals victoriously. So the next time you find yourself facing adversity, instead of immediately wondering how, why, what's it going to do to me, just feeding it negative energy for a negative spiraling, woe is me, hyper self-focused pity party, instead, practice this positive mindset and visualize this. Look adversity straight in the eye, as if it were your ally, and with total tenacity tell it, I can't wait to see what you're going to do for me and how we are going to make this world a better place to be, ultimately giving God the glory. And when you spin that positive mindset towards adversity and make it your ally, that brings a whole different meaning to a phrase you may have heard before: ace in the hole. All right, y'all, well, we're going to wrap it up. And for those of you who know me, and those of you who know me and follow me, when I talk about rapping, I mean it in the literal sense. Let me get my gear on. Oh, yes. Y'all ready to wrap it up with me? All right, here we go. The key to overcoming adversity is to embrace it with a heavy dose of positivity, realizing God's brought you a strength, gain, and opportunity that no doubt is going to alter your personal trajectory, impacting yourself and others with whom you cross paths favorably. When you're facing a heavy hand of adversity, having a hard time dealing with this level of intensity, can't seem to see the potential positivity, drop to your knees, pray specifically, and seek a trusted source for shared strength immediately. Yes, you see, victory over your adversities doesn't set you up as the sole beneficiary. No, it's gained strength specifically for you to share through your tantalizing, triumphant testimony. Adversity. I ain't gonna let you get the best of me. I'm gonna face you, embrace you, tenaciously overcome and make you ally of you, and share you so that others are empowered to rise above you, starting up a shared strength continuum from one to another. Oh no, we can't control the life cards dealt to us out of the deck, but we can mentally spin it to win it, even when adversity shows up in it, making living our life positively epic. Thank you.